Welcome to Spooky Southcoast. Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen, but it does.
And what happens as soon as we go into the opening theme, I pull the plug on my headphones. But that's all right. I don't actually need to hear anything to be able to do the show. But we are here to talk with you about the paranormal, as we are each and every Saturday night. And we're very excited tonight because it's going to be a loose show. We're going to have a chance to let our hair down, although I say that all the time, and you guys have your hair down, and mine's as down as it goes. But we're going to talk about all kinds of things paranormal. We may have some guests joining us in the studio. We're not exactly sure what's going on. A friend of ours is here from across the country, and she's having adventures, we'll say, at the very least. And so they may join us, they may not. Depends on how things are going in their world. But we'd also like to talk with you throughout the course of the evening. Give us a call, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. If you want to watch the show while you're listening to it here on WBSM, you can go to SpookySouthcoast.com, click on the Spooky TV link, which is under the live show tab at the top of the website, and you'll be able to see what goes on here in the studio. We've got our fancy interweb net cams set up, yeah. And Matt Costa is over there directing the show, and you know we've been incorporating some new things with the videos.
We were down for a second. We were down.
It was
just the Spooky South Coast logo.
That's
but
fine.
We're up and running.
That's fine.
That's fine.
And so, I mean, how are you liking that job over there? Because I stole your job over here.
That's okay. I stole Moniz's job.
And you stole Moniz's job. And now Moniz gets to go back to his preferred job of just, contributing to the conversation.
Once we figure out more things around here, Moniz will have a laptop in front of him, hopefully.
And I'll monitor the chat room.
Yeah.
And that one of the things that we are...
I think people miss his random comments.
Right. We are missing out on some of the chat room access because we've got so much going on with the video feed, but we'll try and bring that up a few more times in the course of the evening. And I've tried loading it up on my phone here, which gives me a small version of it, so I can kind of see what's going on. And of course, I do have problems with the internet in here, trying to get it on my tablet, but if we can figure out those internet problems, that will give me access to that as well. So what's the issue here? It's just that we just can't seem to break down their internet walls.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think it's designed with us in mind?
Maybe.
Do you think when they start putting in all this technology, they're thinking to themselves, okay, how can we best protect this from the spooky crew screwing it up?
Yeah, exactly. They know us too well, I guess.
Right. Because there was one night when the engineer had to come down here and fix something because things were going wrong, and the first thing that I said to Moniz was, all right, start taking down the webcams, start hiding everything, go put them out in my car because we don't need him to come in and see all that stuff. Because, there's
a lot of unauthorized equipment here.
Right, there is.
But in our defense, that error had nothing to do with us.
No, it wasn't. It was actually like that when we got here. And Pete even said we did all that we could to try to fix it. Even he didn't know how. So it wasn't our fault. But there is a lot of equipment here that we do have to bring in and set up to put on this show as the multimedia spectacle that we like to make it. But part of that is because that's what the Spooky South Coast listeners want. They want to be able to see what's going on in the studio while they listen. They want to be able to interact with us via the chat room. A lot of people don't like to call in, and sometimes people like to just type in their comments, and we welcome that. If we can access the chat, we'll read them here. You can also email us throughout the course of the show, spookycrew@spookysouthcoast.com. And, of course, I'll probably throw Facebook up during the course of the show, too, to check to see if there's any comments going there. And the new way to get us is on Twitter, because I see Matt Costa over there tweeting away as it is. Yeah. We have at Tim Weisberg, that's me. We have at SpookySC, which is the show, at Smoking Monkeys, MONKEEZ, which is Matt Costa. And we have... It's a little bit of a gray area here with what's going on. But we have a Twitter account that is approved but not authorized by Moniz. Is that how we're calling it? How are we putting this?
I'm not sure what we're calling it. But yeah, that's a good way to describe it, I guess.
We'll put it this way. I know it exists. Is it mine? Do I control it? No.
But if you have things that you want to...
I'll share with it.
Yeah, sure. So some of these tweets that are coming out from there, they could be from you, they could be from your staff of hundreds that handle your social media.
Basically.
So and that's at Science Advisor. Is that
something like that? I don't know. I changed it a few times, so I think it's Science_advisor.
Okay. So at Science. How do you get one so long? Because I couldn't get at Spooky Southcoast.
I don't know.
Maybe they've loosened the rules since we started that account. But so yeah, sure. You can get a hold of us on Twitter that way as well. I tweeted out a little while ago on the Spooky Southcoast Twitter account at SpookySC. I tweeted out a picture, and I asked for some people to tell me where that picture was taken. And I got one response already that I know of that had it right. But check that out if you want to take a gander at it and see if you can figure out where that picture was taken, and also let us know, is it paranormal or not? Because that's, it's one thing to know where the picture came from. It's another thing to know the story behind it. So we'll tell you a little bit later on in the program. But for now, just check that out on Twitter and see what you think. And remind me of that, because I do tend to forget what I say. We'll talk about things later in the show, and then we don't. But one thing we will talk about right now, before we go further with the program, is our Legend Trips event coming up April 5th through the 7th at the Houghton Mansion in North Adams, Massachusetts. We discussed this on last week's show with our guests, Josh Mantello and Jeff Belanger. And it was just, for me, as excited as I was to go to the Houghton Mansion in 2 weeks, I became even more excited when I started hearing some of the other stories coming from North Adams. And I actually rewatched a documentary this week, Things That Go Bump in the Night, which aired on PBS. And it covered a lot of the stuff that happens in that area, the Hoosick Tunnel, the old Coot, and, of course, the Houghton Mansion itself. And I just got even more amped for going on this event. So if you want to join us, just go to legendtrips.com. That's where you can purchase the tickets. And there's two pricing options for you. You can just buy a ticket for $125, which is just for the Saturday night event. Some people, as crazy as it may sound, you may just want to drive up Saturday morning, participate in the investigation, turn around and go home. I don't know how far you have to go, but some people might just want to do that. Others might want to just stay overnight in the hotel for one night. So they'll just come up for the Saturday event, crash Saturday night, leave Sunday morning. But if you want to come for the whole weekend and take part in the paranormal party that we're having on Friday night at the haunted Freight Yard Pub just across the street, just down the street from the Houghton Mansion, then that is $149. And so if you want to get those tickets, just go to legendtrips.com. You'll find more information about it, and you'll find the link to purchase the tickets. The only problem is the room deals have run out at the Holiday Inn Berkshires. They only had a set number of rooms set aside for us. They're gone. So we have to offer you rooms now at the regular rate, which is, I believe, it's $127 and change plus tax. And there are a number of other hotels and motels immediately in that area that have far cheaper rates. It all depends on what the quality of accommodations are that you require. There's some one-star hotels on Travelocity and Hotwire and those sites, Priceline, where you can get them for $40 for the night. And I don't know about you, Moniz, but after I've been doing a Legend Trips event and I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning, all I want is a bed. And if there happens to be fleas and bugs in that, and protein stains in that bed, I don't care. I just want to crash.
Sounds like a lot of the places I've already been.
That's true. Sounds like a lot of places we could investigate. But it's all in what you want. If you want to have the full hotel experience with the continental breakfast and all that, sure, you can pay a little bit more. But if you want to have just a bed to stay the night in, you can get it by really cheap with that. It's a little too cold for me to say just throw a sleeping bag in the back of the car, but if you're brave enough, you could do that too. In fact, I might do that just to save myself some money. But I don't think I'm that crazy. So check that out, legendtrips.com. And I put up a new page. If you go to spookysouthcoast.com/Houghton-Mansion, you can see some of the video clips that I've collected from different television shows and of course, from our own show covering the paranormal activity at the Houghton Mansion. So if you want to see that, just go to spookysouthcoast.com facebook.com/Houghton-Mansion. And I also have it up on the Facebook accounts for Legend Trips and myself, and it's also on the Twitter account, so check it out. Oh, which the Twitter for Legend Trips, by the way, is @LegendTrips.
Now, getting back to the Houghton, would you consider actually putting a sleeping bag down, say, in the center of the Masonic Hall and sleeping in the building?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I personally would love to. And if you and Andy want to, too, that would save us a hotel room.
Well, I like the idea. I love trying to, experience the place day and throughout the night. I mean, even if we're in there only getting a couple hours of sleep at night, that it still is not a bad thing to try and do just to get the full experience of the place.
Well, I'd have to say that's up to Josh and the guys over there, but I'd be willing to do it if they're willing to have us. We have a call on the line here, so let's go to the phone, see who it is. Good evening, we're on Spooky Southcoast. How are you?
Yeah, helps if you press air.
It's not working. I can't see the air button. Good evening, you're on Spooky Southcoast. How you doing?
Nope.
Nope. Good evening, you're on Spooky Southcoast. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Our on-air button for the phone is not lighting up, so I apologize. All right.
It's weird to hear my voice. I'm gonna turn that down.
Oh yeah, you definitely want to do that because you'll get the feedback.
You right?
All right. So
How y'all doing?
good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm like stuck in the Midwest.
Stuck in the Midwest?
Yeah, Matt knows me.
This
Hi.
This would be Della.
Yes, I'm stuck here in Missouri, Kansas City. We're getting snow. We're supposed to get 6 to 12 inches.
Ah, well, we've had plenty of that over the last couple of months here.
I know. I was going to the store and this guy looked at me. He said, "I'm from Cuba." I said, "You don't look like you're from Cuba, but that's okay, you know." And I said, this should be in like New England area. I'm like, I got friends. I love Massachusetts. Yeah, it's up there on the table. Maine and all that. So I'm not used to this when it's like in the middle of March.
Well, we're not really either, especially after the last couple of years we've had here. But we had just the other night. What was it? Thursday night. We were supposed to get like an inch, maybe 2. And I walked outside in the morning, and there was 6 inches on top of my car.
6-7 inches of snow. Yeah.
So and by the time I came home from work, it was melted from all the streets and from the driveways and everything. So just gonna show you
This
how
is
it
my
is.
first time actually listening to y'all because
thank you.
I had to get the your site and stuff from Matt, and I've got that now. So, and I was just wondering if you had the Facebook that you do, and
Oh yeah.
I'm not able to get up there to the Legend Trip. So when do you have that? Like every year? Can I ask that question?
Actually, Legend Trips is something that it's ever expanding here. This is our 3rd year now of doing it, and what we do is we try to find different historic haunted locations that we can bring people into, and we've been concentrating around the New England area because we have so many. And this is actually the furthest we've gone out, going up to North Adams, which is about 4 hours from where we're located. But it's amazing that there's so many sites just in this area that we can go to, and our hope is that eventually we can do them once every month or once a month. But for now, this is the only one we have planned. But we're working on a few coming up in the summer months.
Any places
I
you were? I was gonna say, can you recommend some places out your way if we decided
I was
to
just
expand?
going to say, what I'll do, and then I'll get with Matt. I can actually look for some,
That'd be great.
and go from that because Matt and I are really close, so I could do that, and that would be great. I was just going to ask that question: would you all be willing to come down here to Missouri or even to Kansas? Because I'm on the borderline. I'm like right off I-70.
We're pretty borderline ourselves here, but we would love to travel around and go to some of these other locations, and if you can find them, and when we're kind of ready to take that next step forward, we would definitely consider them. Because for right now, it's for us, it's got to be somewhere we can get to, kind of close by. Because if you're not familiar with Legend Trips, anybody out there that's listening, it's a little bit different than your usual paranormal events. We try to have it so that it's a more interactive experience, It can be a learning experience if you're a newcomer, if you've never investigated before, and it can also be a chance to have a new perspective on things if you are a seasoned investigator. And what we do is we provide you with a dinner, which, half of these ghost hunts you go on, they don't even want you bringing a bottle of water with you. They want to sell you the water or the snacks when you get there. But we provide you with dinner, snacks, and drinks all night, all included with the price. You get lectures, and you get a historic tour of the property that we're investigating. And then we give you 4, 5, 6 hours of investigation, guided investigation by our Legend Trip staff. And even though we'll sell, a good number of tickets, we try to keep it into small, intimate groups in the different areas so that you're never really around more than like 10 or 12 people.
Right. That, and I've got a couple in mind, but let me just get on there and figure out where they are and exactly what's going on with them. Because there's one, now it's not really I don't know if you want to call it a legend trip, but I live in Independence, Missouri, and it was like one of the 4 states, 4 cities in the state or whatever. It was where we have Santa Calagon days where we go. It's where, they all started from Independence to go to California for the gold rush and all that jazz. And so I'm sure there is something around Kansas City, Independence area. I can get with another friend of ours, his name's Todd Sheets, and I can see
Todd.
If Todd, because he's a good friend of mine too, and I can see if he can recommend some stuff too. And I can try to get in touch with him. He's a hidden bit, you can't hardly get with him. He's right now in the middle of filming or something.
Right, he's always got irons in the fire. But we appreciate any information you can get us, and hopefully we can make it out there, and hopefully sometime you can make it out here.
Yeah, I would love to go back up to Massachusetts. Go back up to Lizzie Borden's house. I would love to stay there.
That one we do twice a year. That one we have an event there, both in the winter and the summer.
Well, when you're ready to do Lizzie Borden's again, I'm ready to go back up there and hang out with Leanne and all them.
Well, we'll probably be there in August, but let me give you a suggestion.
I can't go in August. I'm getting married, and
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm getting married.
There's no better place to get married than Lizzie Borden's, though. They host a number of weddings every year.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting married down in Branson, Missouri.
Ah, there you go.
And stuff, but no. But yeah, I'm going to Mid-South and stuff, and my daughter's going to be 16, so there's I've got Mid-South, now another time it would be great.
Well, maybe again, August is just when we did it last year. We're not sure of the date just yet, but I'll make the suggestion to you. The best thing you can do is to go to legendtrips.com, sign up for the email list there right on the front page, and join the email list. And then if you're on the email list for Legend Trips, you get first crack at tickets before they go on sale to the public. So when we
legendtrips.com.
Right, legendtrips with an S.com. And once you sign up, you'll get first crack whenever anything's announced. Our Legend Trips mailing list sees it before anybody else. And those Lizzie Borden events, I can tell you, they sell out just in the pre-sale alone. They don't even make it to the general public.
Like I said, I love Lizzie Borden's house, and I love Leanne. She's so down to earth, and I love Massachusetts. So, I live up there. So when I'm ready to go, if I can, I'll go.
Well, and Massachusetts loves you, because I'm pretty sure that used to be the marketing slogan here years ago.
But I do, and anything to get out of Independence / Kansas City, Missouri, I'll go. But yeah, but Matt, I'll get with you. Let me look at it, look around this week, and I'll get with you face the next couple of weeks, unless you have something to do.
No, feel free to drop me a line. You know how to reach me. Thank you for looking for us. It's appreciated.
Anytime. And if you think of anything, please email me or inbox me or whatever.
Got it. You got it.
All right. Well, it was nice chatting with you all.
Great
I love you all, and I'm going to be hanging with you for, another couple hours?
Yeah, we'll be here till midnight Eastern time.
Now you got something to do on Saturday nights.
There you go.
Okay, well, you're going to be my priority on Saturday evenings now.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Night, Della.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Matt.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
It's always nice especially when you have a first-time listener and a first-time caller all in the same night. We appreciate that. There's a lot of listeners who've been out there for the entire 7-year run of the show that have never called in.
Well, Jill is a dedicated person that's been doing this for many, many years, and I've run into her, and she goes to a lot of the different ghost hunting events, and I've run across her at this hunt and that hunt and that hunt, and you make friends with a lot of these people, and a lot of them are really nice, down-to-earth people, always willing to help out, as you see.
Right, and how often does somebody say that they love Massachusetts? It just makes me proud of our state. It makes me think of things like this.
For all, spirit of Massachusetts is the spirit of America. The spirit of what's old and what's new. The spirit of Massachusetts is the spirit of America. The spirit of the red, white, and blue.
This was great. When Family Guy did this, because it was such a small PSA type thing that was famous from the 80s, but they pick up on that kind of stuff. And this is a lot better than the original, I have to say. It's one of the few times that I actually enjoyed the Family Guy song. So there you go, a little Massachusetts love right there for you. All right, if you'd like to call into the program, 508-996-0500. That is the phone number, 1-877-996-1420 if you want to call in toll-free. You can also email us, spookykcrew@spookysouthcoast.com, or jump in the chat room on Spooky TV at spookysouthcoast.com, where you can see how awesome we are. And how's the new Minicam working out there, Matt? A little more stable?
No.
Okay. That's kind of what I expected.
But yeah, it's fine. They got some new features.
Well, part of the problem is I really, really need a new laptop, and I'm severely broke. So if you want to donate to the cause, just go to PayPal, make a donation, tim@spookysouthcoast.com. Yeah. And or if you want to just ship us a new laptop, that works too. But we do have all kinds of plans.
We'll take an old laptop.
This thing's like 4 or 5 years old now. And we are always trying to come up with new ideas and new things that we can incorporate into the program. So if you ever have a suggestion of anything that you'd like to hear or see or be a part of, if you want to produce a show for Spooky TV, if you want to produce just little field reports for Spooky TV, if you want to get involved in any way, just shoot us an email, spookykcrew@spookysouthcoast.com. And also coming up next week on the show, I'll remind everybody about this later too, but I just want to let everybody know we're going to have Karen Dahlman on, Matt, who you just recently had on 30 Odd Minutes.
Yep.
She's a Ouija expert, and she sent us an email saying that she found out about us through 30 Odd Minutes, and she wants to come on the show and get a little bit more in depth than she was able to in the 30 minutes of the show. So I really am looking forward to this because we hear so much about the negative side of Ouija that I really want to hear about the positive stories.
But she did share a couple of very interesting positive outcomes. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, it's nothing that should be taken lightly either, but it does have its brighter sides. Let's put it that way.
See, I used to be of the opinion that they were, dangerous, that they were negative, that there was too much of a possibility that something bad would come in, that they were targets of negative entities.
Well, you have to look at what it is. It's in the form of a game. So a game gives it that childish play thing. Whereas if you're doing actual investigations, you're consciously doing something and you are aware that bad things can happen. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, but that can happen with anything that we're doing. If I'm walking around with a tape recorder, I'm just as much opening myself up to something negative. And I have. I mean, I've met that thing.
But you and I are adults. What this thing is set up for is kids.
Well, I don't know. Because I feel that
Well, kids have taken over the culture of it. It was originally made for adults back in the earlier days.
Yeah.
William Fold made it, but...
And back then it was marketed as a social gathering type game. And I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot more of the family aspect of it. I mean, it was promoted as being something that the family would do together. And it's gone off in the post-heavy metal generation of being more of something that, the loner does by himself in his room or him and a couple of his friends do in his room while they're playing some Judas Priest. And
hers, looking to find out who they're going to marry and stuff like that, and that open intention, yeah.
But I feel as though the negative aspect of it is something that is almost marketing to some degree, and also partially from outside influences such as the church, or maybe parents that don't want kids messing around with it. But I feel like a lot of these horror stories that we've heard about it are what gives it a bad rep more than the actual experiences themselves.
Isn't that the way society works, though?
Yeah.
They hype up things. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing that we try to portray as being inherently evil while inanimate guns. I don't want to go down that road with you tonight, Moniz.
No, you don't.
Again, though, I've used a Ouija board like once at Lizzie Borden, so I might not be the most qualified person. Maybe we'll bring one in, though, in the studio next week, and we'll mess around with it a little bit.
I'd like to do it with, say, several of them.
I'm sure that you've used them on numerous occasions,
Oh, yeah.
Moniz.
For me, it's just entertainment. I understand what's going on with it, and I myself just find them to be nothing more than entertainment. As far as an actual information tool, I would just make note of what came out of it. I wouldn't put all that much stock into it, but it is worth noting, at least from my viewpoint.
How about you, Matt? Have you had a lot of experience with the Ouija?
No, I mean, I played around with it when I was a kid a few times, but we never really got anything. It was just kind of like we were just screwing around.
I downloaded an app on my phone, and I was trying to use that. Oh, actually on my tablet.
Is it an actual Ouija board on your tablet?
Is your hand the planchette on?
Yeah, you
the
put your
screen?
hand over the planchette, and it's supposed to move around. But the problem is it's so touch sensitive that as soon as I tried to touch it, even the slightest bit, it would just go crazy. Not crazy like with spirit activity, but it would go crazy like like a glitch.
Yeah.
So I realized that maybe that's not the best form to try to use it, but it's because I was too cheap to go spend $17 to buy one. And it's not like you can go to the store and buy one either. Walmart doesn't stock it on the shelves. You can't walk into Walmart and buy one because I tried to do that before, one time before the show, and you can't really go and walk into most stores and buy them anymore. I'm not sure if Target carries them or not.
I think they do around Halloween and stuff.
I think Target's plan is to just carry the things that Walmart won't.
Yeah.
Like NWA albums and stuff.
Yeah.
Bleep the Ouija. Bleep, bleep, bleep the Ouija. That's the new song. All right, well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, too, tonight, and this is a little bit of a nostalgia trip for the guys here in the studio, for the Spooky Crew, when we talk about, in particular, Lincoln Park. But one thing I want to talk about is the idea of haunted amusement parks.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the band.
No, I don't want to talk about them. Please. What is this, 1998? Am I my brother? Anyway, the Weather Channel.com had an interesting slideshow up the other day about haunted abandoned amusement parks. Or, I'm sorry, just abandoned amusement parks. But a lot of these parks have paranormal stories that surround them. And here's a slideshow comprised of amusement parks from around the world. And here in the middle of this slideshow of about 24 photos, it was about a dozen places, shows up Lincoln Park in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. And I realized that even though to a lot of people in the area it was just our little amusement park, it's become an iconic abandoned park. And of course there's nothing left now. They took down the Comet last summer, which was the last thing that was left standing. But it has developed kind of a reputation, mostly from its appearance more than anything else. I mean, I know that there's been stories from there. I wrote about them in my book, Ghosts of the Southcoast. But Moniz, you've been checking out paranormal stuff in this area for a long time, and also you went to Lincoln Park when it was open. And I mean, did you have any kind of strange or weird experiences there, be it before it closed down or after?
I'm pulling up pictures of when I recently went there with Sarah Coombs in its dilapidated state. Yeah, I went there as a kid. I grew up every summer going out there and eating clam cakes and going on the roundup and getting sick when it's part
Which
of
you should never really eat clam cakes before. When I went to Rocky Point, my parents always had a rule: clam cakes and chowder before we went home. Yeah. Not in the middle of the day.
Yeah. But yeah, it was part of my childhood, and it's just one of those things that it's sad to see that it's now gone, because that was a fond memory of my childhood, is going there, riding the Comet, going on a roundup, going to the haunted house and stuff. It's sad.
Yeah, and we actually got some recollections, and why don't you have Matt put your camera on, Moniz, and you can kind of scroll through those for the viewers. It's kind of sad that a lot of people that grow up in this area now won't know anything about Lincoln Park, because it was a part of so many people's childhoods here, and even their adulthoods as well. But it also does have a number of ghostly happenings. There was an accident, for example, in 1986, in which a young worker of the park was walking along the tracks to kind of do the pre-opening inspection. If anybody's ever been to an amusement park, first thing, sometimes you can't always get on the rides right away because they're still working on the pre-opening inspection. And part of the procedure for opening a roller coaster is to walk along the tracks and make sure that everything is secure and nothing has become disconnected during the course of the night, and that it's safe for people to get on the ride and go. And they'll usually do the walk, and then they'll run a couple of empty cars, and then they'll open it to the public. Well, one of the workers at Lincoln Park actually climbed to the top of the Comet as part of the inspection, and he fell and he perished. And so that is one of the supposed hauntings of the property, is that his spirit was seen, and that one of the reports that I got when I was putting together the Ghosts of the Southcoast was that his spirit would be seen walking along the tracks, and when he got to the highest peak of the Comet, he would disappear, as if to kind of indicate the fact that he fell off. Well, I posted up on Facebook, on my personal page, I put up a link to the weatherchannel.com slideshow about all the different abandoned parks. And we had a little bit of a discussion going, and somebody named Joyce, well, I won't use her last name here on the air, but somebody named Joyce posted up on there. And Joyce, if you're listening, we'd love to have you call in, 508-996-0500. But she put up that she worked at Lincoln Park back in the dark ages, and she can assure us that there were many spirits there. The 1986 accident was not the only one to occur there. There was a particular spirit who had passed as a result of an auto accident on State Road adjacent to the Trabant and Scrambler, as well as one in the parking lot directly at the base of the Comet. So we do have a few tragic events that happened there over the years.
And there was a case, I believe, when the cars came off the Comet, and this was in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken. The cars, the track wasn't secured right in some manner, and the cars flew off the actual roller coaster and landed upside down out in the parking lot, if I'm not mistaken. That happened in the late 50s, early 60s.
There was another incident, too, in the late 80s where the roller coaster went off the track, and thankfully nobody was injured. But that was kind of like the final straw type thing, and the park closed soon thereafter. But, there was also a lot of other reasons behind that. I mean, the park was just losing money. Originally it started back in the 1800s. It was around for about 100 years. And it started in the late 1800s as a midway point for the New Bedford Fall River trolley line. And the idea was that when people were going back and forth between the cities, if you gave them something right in the middle for them to kind of stop and spend some time, it would be increased revenue for the trolley line. So they were actually the ones that put the money forth to start Lincoln Park. And over the years, through the 70s and the 80s, there was a move to the bigger parks. Rocky Point expanded. That became more of a draw. And, of course, the Six Flags Park here in New England was Riverside Park at the time, but that was expanding. And there were a number, and as cars became part of the staple of the American family, and as the interstate highway system started, and you were able to get around a lot more easily than you could in the days of the back roads, those smaller mom and pop, Lincoln Park, Paragon Park, those type of places started to shut down. And because there was almost always something going on where the land was tied up because they were trying to auction off the rides to handle their debts, and banks owned the properties, and they were trying to find the best use for sale. They sat abandoned for a number of years. And some of them are still abandoned to this day. And some of them have burned down, like Lincoln Park most of the Lincoln Park had burned down. And Others have just been kind of cleared out, slashed and burned, and turned into something else. And there's such a possibility for paranormal activity at every one of these. From my own beliefs in the paranormal, I think that anytime that energy is imprinted on a location, there's the potential for that energy to resurface in one way or another. And we always focus so much on the negative. So we're looking at Lincoln Park, and we're saying that there was this, worker who died. There was roller coaster cars that flipped over, car accidents that happened on the road in front of it. We're associating all these negative, tragic events with the paranormal activity that takes place there. But it's also possible that there's been so much positive energy exuded there over the years that maybe the location can record that and trap that as well.
Well, it was weird when I was there with Sarah. I was literally reliving, portions of my life, walking through those same paths, seeing, the remnants of, the comet and the food stands and some of the other little ride things and stuff. And it instantly took me back to the moment in time when the park was functional to me. And I could hear the laughter of the kids on the little Ferris wheel that was right there and stuff like that. It took me right back there, and it came alive, actually, for a second. Was that me actually listening to something going on in the background, or was that mainly in my head and my memories? It was kind of like both at the same time for me, but, it was like, wow, surreal.
I mean, I've heard reports from people that went there, 5 years ago, and they could still smell clam cakes when they went there. They could still smell the cotton candy. Now, is it possible that maybe those smells are in the wood, and that when you're in there poking around and you're banging stuff around and kind of causing those molecules to loosen up and no longer be attached to the wood, is it possible that you can smell it? Well, sure. But are you going to have that overwhelming sensation of it like you would have in the days when the park was open? I mean, and we do have to say, sure, a lot of this does go into the category of it's in your mind, because, sure, why wouldn't it be? If you walked into that place and you had so many happy memories of it, why wouldn't you want it to look in your mind's eye like it did back in those days that you enjoyed it so much? And then, of course, for a lot of people, they were terrified of that place because the Comet was the first roller coaster they ever rode on. See, I got my start on the Rocky Point corkscrew, so I got indoctrinated right away with going upside down and twists and turns and all that. What was your first? Was it the Comet?
Yeah, it was the Comet. And I've been on several dozen across the country since.
Costa, how about you? What was your first?
I'm not sure if I remember too much.
You blocked it out?
Little. I think I was very little.
Really?
Yeah.
I was like 12, I think. It took me a while. My son's 8, and he thought nothing of going on every roller coaster he could at Six Flags last summer, so... Yeah. Just shows the difference, I'm afraid of heights. I'm fine with going on roller coasters if I could just walk into a building to the very top peak. Like if I could walk upstairs or go up an elevator or something, it'd be fine. Because it's that whole climbing that freaks me out. After that, I'm fine.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to try some of those new ones where they push you up pneumatically, and there's no chain pulley system. It's and then you're at the top, and then you just go. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But just taking a look at the slideshow and seeing some of these other parks, I mean, one of them is Six Flags New Orleans, which is also known as Jazzland. That's been closed since August of 2005 because of...
Hurricane Katrina.
Right, and when you look at the park, looking at the slideshow, it's a relatively modern park, and it seems like they have a lot of really cool attractions there, but it's been abandoned for 7-8 years now, and it's kind of fallen into the hands of vandals. But it has to do with the fact that there's still drainage problems there, still, from the hurricane. Some of these other places, Disney's River Country in Florida, the only inactive Disney park in the world. The only Disney-owned property that's just sitting there doing nothing. And it's basically a bunch of log flume water slide type rides and riverboat rides and things like that, and it's creepy to look at it and to realize that this is not far from the Magic Kingdom, and it's just sitting there and nobody goes there. And just imagine the stories that must come from out of there. And some of them are some really strange parks that are probably abandoned because they were bad business strategies. Like in Japan, Gulliver's Kingdom, they built a whole amusement park based on Gulliver's Travels. how did you think that was going to be sustained over many years? It's it's one of those things that you go to once maybe. And then there's a few here in the Ukraine and in Germany, and one in the United States called Dogpatch USA, which is based on the Little Abner comic strips. Like, again, really? You thought that was a good idea? Like, Dollywood at least works because Dolly Parton's there a lot of the time. So you have that working for you. Dogpatch USA in Arkansas. So, definitely check this out for yourself. Just go to weatherchannel.com and look up the creepy abandoned theme park photos, and you'll see some cool ones.
Low Battery Dave in the chat room wants to know when Balzano Land is going to open in Florida.
I don't know about that.
It could be puck wedgie themed.
Right.
I think.
But then if you do that, like, you're going to have all the different associated legends and lore.
Yeah.
And it's just going to get too confusing for people.
Well, maybe it could just be a ride.
We can't agree on how to spell puck wedgie.
Like, it's a small world ride, but it's just like puck wedgies of around the world.
Right. That would be pretty cool. You, like, jump in the cart and drive around, and there's, like, animatronic puck wedgies reaching out for you.
Yep.
That'd be pretty cool. And at the very end of the ride, there's a giant Moshop. He's being attacked by the puck wedgies, and this is something that we could probably talk about in the second hour too, because we have about 4 minutes here until we have to take a break for the news. But there's been some pretty classic haunted houses associated with these parks too, and they always seem to have those legends attached to them. Of course, Jason Mayo did a great job with the Tales of Rocky Point Park comic and talking about the haunted house there, but for my money, the best one that's still around, and I've never been to Disney, so I've never been to the Haunted Mansion, which is probably cool in that smoke and mirrors special effects kind of way. But to me, the coolest one that I've ever seen, with definitely a real effort put behind it, is at Canopy Lake Park. Have you ever been on that one?
No, I haven't.
Matt, have you?
Yeah, I think I have.
It's really good, and I wondered why when I got there I had to wait in such a long line to get on it, but it's really good. You get into the cart and you go through what is supposed to be a mine, and in that mine, you see workers, kind of animatronic workers, digging for gold and with their pickaxes and everything, and you're going around like couple little S curves, and as you get toward the back of the mine, the workers get a little bit more evil, and then all of a sudden you go underneath this waterfall and you descend. And it's like you're going into hell. And you actually get blasted with hot air. And when you go around, the stuff that you see in there is cheesy. It's all, behind glass type, silly stuff. But they put an effort into it. And it's, since the House of Horrors at Rocky Point, it's probably the biggest effort that I've seen put into one of these things. And the traveling shows, they just don't have that kind of effort behind it. So I don't know. Maybe people out there have a better haunted house they want to tell us about. Give us a call in the second hour, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. Email us spookycrew@spookysouthcoast.com, or jump in the chat room at spookysouthcoast.com under the Spooky TV heading. So we're going to take a break for the news. During the break, if you want to go on legendtrips.com and pick up your tickets for Haunting the Houghton, April 5th through the 7th, you can do so. Again, $125 for just the event itself, or $149 if you want to make a weekend of it. Again, legendtrips.com is the website. And we're already thinking ahead to trying to plan for the summer months and maybe even the late spring months, coming up with some more legend trips. And one of the things that we have to do, because people have been talking about this since October, one of the things we have to do is we have to get back into Fort Taber in the warmer weather.
Yes.
Because we've just barely scraped the surface of the activity that's going on in that place. So I can promise you that is definitely going to be on the docket for the warmer months, a return to Fort Taber. And when we go there this time, we've kind of got much more of a foundation to build the investigation on. So I just want to go back there and see if I can hear that cannon fire again.
I want to go back to the little battery I was in, listening to the footsteps walking all around in there, in the voices.
Well, I do have it right here, so why don't I just, real quick, just play that crash for everybody just to remind them of it. I don't know if it's touching my hand or if that's just I feel cold over here all of a sudden. Oh, wait, I just thought of something. Good thing I stopped it. That was not the edited version.
Oh.
That was the original version. Oh, man. That would have brought us more FCC fines faster than a Jackie Barrett appearance. So why don't we just leave it at that? If you want to check it out, you can go to SpookySouthcoast.com and you can download that and hear it for yourself, because that was a phenomenal experience. All right, well, we're going to take a break for the news. When we come back on the other side, we will talk more about the paranormal, and hopefully we will talk with you as well. Again, the numbers are 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. See you in just a few, here with more on Spooky South Coast.
The station the South Coast turns to for local news, talk, weather, and sports. WBSM New Bedford, AM 1420, WBSM.
From ABC News, under Daniela Belotta, the father of the Georgia baby shot dead in his stroller, says he wishes the two teens arrested had just walked away.
I forget these kids, and, I'd like to ask them why, we should have just let them go, and when she said she didn't have money, just let it be, but I don't know what was in the minds of those kids.
Luis Santiago says the nightmare keeps replaying in his head. President Obama returned from the Middle East tonight and is turning his attention back to gun control. In his weekly address, he urged Congress to give each of his proposed steps to reduce gun violence a vote. Colorado investigators may be getting closer to cracking the case of who killed the state corrections chief.
For the first time, sheriff's investigators in El Paso County, Colorado, are calling Evan Ebel, the man killed in a wild chase and shootout with police in Texas, a suspect in the murder of Colorado Department of Corrections Chief Tom Clements. And they say evidence collected in Texas provides a strong lead in Clements' murder. But an investigator tells ABC News they won't know for sure if Ebel was the killer until forensic test results come back. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Spring has arrived, but a late winter storm is moving east across the country after dumping a foot of snow in some parts of Colorado. It may seem crazy, but meteorologist Brian Hurley isn't really surprised.
It is unusual, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, especially in the pattern that we're in the upper levels of the atmosphere.
Kansas is next to be hit. Your odds of winning tonight's $320 million Powerball jackpot, ABC's Gio Benitez says, way better than picking a winning college basketball team.
The odds of having a perfect bracket are 1 in 9.2 quintillion. Your odds of winning Saturday's $320 million Powerball jackpot, 1 in 175 million.
The jackpot is the 6th largest in history. You're listening to ABC News.
Only the Home Depot has kiddo worry-free smoke alarms from just $24.97. A sealed lithium battery keeps these alarms working for 10 years so you never change batteries. With 4 models for specific rooms in your home, like a lighted hallway alarm or voice alert bedroom alarm, upgrade your smoke alarms and set your worries aside for 10 years. Kiddo worry-free smoke alarms starting at just $24.97. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. U.S. only. See store for details.
You want fries with that?
No, thanks.
Sounds like you're in a new Honda Civic.
I am.
Is it awesome?
Pandora compatibility and rear view camera standard.
Nice.
And Hondas hold their value better than any other brand.
I want one so bad I can taste it. It's ketchupy.
Are you eating my order?
Maybe.
Get a Honda Civic with 0.9% APR financing for well-qualified buyers during the really big spring event. Now at your Honda dealer. Pandora compatible with select smartphones. Wireless carrier rates apply. Value retention plan based on ALG's 2013 model year residual value award for mainstream brands. Visit ALG.com for more info. See dealer for financing details.
The man who helped make bodybuilding what it is today has died.
Joe Weider sounded like this on his bodybuilding training system video from the 90s.
In the Weider system, you will know how to build mass, size, definition, whatever you want.
Weider had a key role in introducing a weightlifter named Arnold Schwarzenegger to the world. He found Schwarzenegger in Europe and brought him to the U.S. In a statement, Schwarzenegger says he lost a friend and mentor, and the world lost one of its strongest advocates of living a healthy lifestyle. Joe Weider, dead at age 93 of heart failure. Dave Schreiber, ABC News.
Looking for a way to lower your stress level? Hear that?
That's the song of the wren, a stress buster here in Britain, apparently.
It's got that very nice high-pitched warble, which you could just listen to all day, probably.
That's Professor Trevor Cox, a professor of acoustic engineering here in the UK, who says an online survey has shown that certain bird sounds reduce stress. But he admits flying in the face of this are the associations we make. So while the sound of a seagull may seem loud and raucous and not at all relaxing, to some it may bring to mind pleasant memories of summer spent at the seaside. Linda Albin, ABC News, London.
In just a week, the 6,000 boxes of cookies a Portland Girl Scout troop was left with following a prank, they've been sold. All $24,000 worth of Samoas and Thin Mints. This is ABC News.
The joint supplements of today are sadly incomplete because they don't start relieving joint discomfort immediately until now. Introducing a complimentary 2-week sample of fast-acting Instaflex, our most powerful joint formula ever. It can start relieving joint discomfort in just a few days. Claim your sample today. 1-800-922-8983. Great for your knees, hands, even your hips. Fast-acting Instaflex is available at GNC, but you can only get your complimentary 2-week sample by calling 1-800-922-8983. 1-800-922-8983.
Daniela belongs to ABC News.
So, Jacqueline. Yes, Mom? I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait, hold on. I just got a text. There's another one. Wow. Busy, busy me. So, anyway...
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. My friends keep commenting on my comment. Oh, there's another one. So many comments on my comment.
Oh, I can't wait to watch TV tonight. Playoffs!
Hey, guys, check out my new video game.
Wait.
What? Huh?
What? Hold
What'd
on.
you say? Wait a second, what?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Radio, a medium that has been pruned, honed, trimmed, winnowed, chiseled, bonsai, and deposited here today, ready to be moistened with a watering can of evolution.
Flavor Burst chews.
My name is Tom Thornton.
And my name is Cindy Thornton.
Without food or water. Listen to them go. Getting their essential nutrients, supporting their immune system with vitamins E and C, and their energy with B vitamins. Who says multivitamins have to taste like multivitamins?
Delicious.
New Centrum Flavor Burst chews from the makers of the #1 multivitamin brand. Visit Centrum.com for your $2 coupon today.
Can I have another?
Hey, I'm Kix Brooks. You ever think about how firefighters risk their lives every day to keep us safe? You can return the favor by installing working smoke alarms in every room of your home and replacing alarms that are 10 years old. Go to alarmpledge.com for details. Working smoke alarms not only help protect your family, they also protect the firefighters who enter a burning home. Make the pledge to be a hero and save a hero at alarmpledge.com.
And we share with you 1-800-544-707.
Yum.
We're listening to people enjoying new Centrum Flavor Burst chews.
That was good.
The delicious fruit-flavored chewy multivitamin you can take without food or water. Listen to them go. Getting their essential nutrients, supporting their immune system with vitamins E and C, and their energy with B vitamins. Who says multivitamins have to taste like multivitamins?
Delicious.
New Centrum Flavor Burst chews from the makers of the #1 multivitamin brand. Visit Centrum.com for your $2 coupon today.
Can I have another?
Welcome to spooky Southcoast. Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen.
Coast, Tim Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin Matt Acosta and science advisor Matt Moniz. And I think I finally figured out who's on which pot now. Well, I know which pot Matt Moniz is on. You're on number 4.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, my mic works. Hey,
I thought it was number 3 for a while, but I also made there was like a double entendre with that reference too, but I don't know if you picked up on it. But we are talking about the paranormal. That's what we do here on Spooky South Coast. And while we were during the break, while we were taking a break from the news, I got a text from our friend Jay, and he wanted to let me know. Our friend Jay Moore, he used to own the late great South Coast Conies, but he wanted to let me know that right now they're airing the Lizzie Borden episode of My Ghost Story. So I'm up against myself yet again. Not the first time. I'm always working against myself. But if you haven't checked that out, I'm sure it's going to be rerun on the Bio channel later on tonight, in the middle of the night, so check it out. And you'll see myself and Jeff talking about our experiences there. And it was fun. It was fun going there, and it was definitely different than some of the other TV things that we've done. I mean, I've never sat in a chair and had a camera moving all around me at like 360 degrees. And like I keep turning and facing it, like, no, don't turn and face it. And like, just stare straight ahead and it's going to come around you. So it's a little strange. But a lot of our friends in the paranormal are getting their 15 minutes on shows like My Ghost Story and, of course, in Paranormal Witness. And have you begun taking stories in Matt Moniz for Paranormal Witness?
I've already got a handful that I've already basically assembled to get ready to put through. I'm just still working on a couple of other little final details with the contract. A lot more to this than I thought than there was going to be logistics-wise.
Right. See, and I had conversations with the producers from that show, and they wanted to know like kind of what stories we were getting here on the show. And it's a little bit, I'm sure it was different than your situation where they're trying to get you on board to helping them actively. And I'm sure with me it was more like one of those, hey, what do you want to just pass type of things? Like, you've done all the legwork. What do you want to give us? Because as soon as I mention, money, that's when they start returning my calls. But you're in a tough situation, as we mentioned off the air, that, you've either got to take these cases that you've heard about and that you've been a consultant on and been involved with these people, and you either have to take that and say, hey, I really think you guys would be good on this television show, or you have to weed out the people who are trying to get in touch with you just to be on television.
Right.
And it's really a fine line to I don't envy you in that regard of trying to figure out, which path these people are coming down to try and meet up with you.
Well, they gave me certain criteria that I have to meet. So in a lot of cases, that will be a self-weeding process, if you know what I'm saying. And that's not me. That has to do with the production company.
Right.
They want X, Y, and Z with this, and I have no control over that. That's not me. That's not.
A lot of these TV shows, like, for example, My Ghost Story, they were really big on having EVP. If you don't have any examples of EVP, then they're probably not going to put that case on the air. That seems to be what is attractive to them, more so than video evidence, more so than photographic evidence, although they do really love their orbs, which is, if anybody ever really pulled them aside and explained to them, hey, wait a minute, let me explain to you why you're getting so many of these, and let me explain to you how you could be hurting the credibility of your program by giving so much airtime to them, but what can you do? At the end of the day, let's stop looking at these TV shows and say they are the vanguards of paranormal investigation. Let's stop doing that, because they're just entertainment. And as we mentioned on the show a few weeks ago, I recently had a chance to get even more inside the TV world and see how that stuff works, albeit in a limited capacity, but it could turn into something else. But looking into that through that lens, I realized, like, there's no way that you can expect somebody to go into one of these things and say, I'm going to keep my credibility 100%, and then walk out of there coming out unscathed, because it's a challenge. If you're worried about your credibility in the paranormal field, well, you're going to have to walk in and out of a door 15 times. You're going to have to feign a reaction to something. It just comes with the territory. And I think that as more people get involved with things like My Ghost Story and Paranormal Witness, and they realize that, then they'll stop being so hard on some of these other programs.
Well, you got to bear in mind that these things are Hollywood, including, the Ghost Hunters, the Ghost Adventurers, and all these other stuff. They're taking what happens in reality and they're making Hollywood out of it. In other words, a lot of times when you see them doing stuff on these other shows, especially the real reality ones and stuff like that, a lot of times that's re-photographed.
It's just a dramatization.
Right. I mean, the original thing did happen, but they'll re-video it in a more dramatic fashion for the camera.
Speaking of cameras, Matt Costa, you got a watermark.
I know. I saw that.
You're supposed to be able to go into the settings and remove it for regular Minicam. I don't know how you do it for the Pro.
Oh.
But whatever.
I'll figure it out.
You can give them a little airtime, give them a little love. Yeah, I mean, we use the crap out of that thing for free because we don't want to spend $50 to buy the Pro version, the real Pro version. But yeah, no, Minicam, great tool. We highly recommend Minicam. This is Matt Costa from Minicam. But yeah, that's the thing. You're going to get a dramatization of those because they weren't there to document what happened in the way that they need to document it, so they have to have these dramatic recreations. And don't look at it so much as representative of the paranormal field and of an investigation in the same way that you wouldn't look at some of these true crime recreation shows. You
were right in my head. I was going to say that you look at these CSI things that they redo. Yeah, same idea.
Like there's, I don't even know the names of these shows, but there's one station, and I want to say it's like associated with Discovery Channel or Science Channel or like one of these, higher end channels, but they run these marathons of really trashy shows, like Scorned Mistresses and things like that, and I think it might have been Monster Mistresses or something, or basically it's these types of stories, and they're going way over the top in the dramatizations of these. So if you're worried about the credibility of the paranormal show, just look at some of these other shows and see what they're doing to people, and see, like, I go back to the 80s, for example, with that show.
I never left.
No, that's true. You're still back there. But while you're back there, let me ask you if you've watched Divorce Court.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you look at a show like that back in the 80s, or even The People's Court, these were very popular shows that a lot of people will quote as being where they learned anything about the legal system, which is crap because it's really just a dramatization. Those weren't even real people. Those were actors. And if you don't believe me, look at some of these actors' resumes that are out there now who got their start on Divorce Court. If I remember right, Matt, your favorite female singer, Tori Amos, actually was an actress.
Really?
In an episode of Divorce Court once.
That's awesome.
Right.
I didn't know that.
But that's what used to happen back then. They would just do a straight out dramatization of it. Now at least we have a little bit of the dramatization and the person talking about the experience. So I don't know. It sounds like I'm waffling on my feelings on these shows, but I've learned not to take them so seriously.
Yeah.
And you're a perfect example of that because you never really did from the beginning.
Exactly. I knew what it was. I mean, everybody thought that when they first started watching, Scared or some of these other ones, and then Ghost Hunters comes along, and I think that was the big one that hooked everybody. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, yeah, this is how things are done, but I can tell they refilmed certain parts of this over again, and they did it with the camera. And then when they started to do the little pickups,
right.
It's like people don't understand that, they're there investigating for a night. Well, no, in reality, they were there for 3 or 4 nights filming stuff.
Let's start Lizzie Borden's, and they're there for
40 minutes.
Yeah.
4 hours, actually. But
yeah, but I guess when you look at it, though, you have to hold Ghost Hunters in a different regard than you do a show like Paranormal Witness or My Ghost Story.
Yeah.
Because they're supposedly presenting to you an active investigation. And and I don't understand why they just can't come out and say, we were here over the course of multiple nights and this is what we got. Like, why can't they just say that? Why does it have to be in the narrative of happening in just one night?
Because that's their template that they established from the beginning.
But why do you have to use that template? Why not just say
it's continuity?
It's actually better if you've been there multiple nights.
I agree.
But it's because they want to show all that activity is having taken place immediately over the course of one night. And also, because it's more dramatic that way. But you have to look at those differently than you do these confessional shows where you're telling your story to a camera. Because there's almost, I don't want to say more credibility in telling the story that way, because I've watched my ghost story and I've questioned some of the stories that some of these people are telling, but at least you're getting someone's honest reaction.
What about celebrity ghost stories?
I don't buy that for 1 minute.
Really? Why?
Mainly because most of those people are trained to overamp their reactions. I'm not saying that they didn't have paranormal experiences. I'm just saying that they are definitely mugging for the cameras when they're on that show.
Whoa. I see. I look at this another way. This is somebody that stands a lot to lose.
You obviously are living back in the 80s. If you think Barry Williams has something to lose at this point.
Some of these are long past their prime.
These haven't been celebrities for 20 or 30 years, where they say the celebrity ghost stories. But no, I understand where you're coming from, though. They do have a risk in putting themselves out there as having these experiences, but I think it's more of they look at it as the risk reward, and getting on TV and getting a paycheck is probably means more to them than losing any credibility for it. I know that the ones that I've seen, it's either been washed up people or people that I would say, well, yeah, I would have expected that person would have had an experience. Like, I look at somebody like Jennifer Tilly and I'm like, yeah, she's a little out there.
Okay, Russell Crowe in the UFO. Okay. How did it...
Matt Costa, I know you've been following the story.
That was actually a hoax.
Okay.
Put out by, I think it's publishing company probably, or a PR firm. And it's just promote his new movie or something. I don't know. I read a little bit of it, and I was like, whatever, brushed it off.
Right.
So.
Well, let me ask you that, Moniz, as somebody who...
I didn't really follow that. I was like, yeah, great. So that means everybody else and their brother will be looking into this one.
I think you tweeted it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know I did.
There have been in recent years, though, there have been a number of celebrities who have come forward and said that they've had UFO sightings and experiences.
Fran Drescher admitted being an abductee.
Robbie Williams of the group Take That in the UK, and he had a pretty successful solo career. He's actually become a UFO investigator. At least he had a couple of years ago. I don't know if he's stuck with it. And then... Is it Tom DeLonge, Matt? I know that you're not a huge Blink-182 fan either, but is that his name, Tom DeLonge?
Something like that. I don't know.
From Blink-182. He is super into the paranormal, and he's had no problem coming forward with his experiences. So there are some people.
If you really want to go goofy, Lady Gaga.
Well,
no, seriously.
She's one of those people that I would kind of expect it to be part of her persona. If you look at Lady Gaga, if she wasn't singing, she'd be something out of like a Three Stooges short. You know what I mean? She's just...
She'd be a nun?
I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe a nun. Maybe she's the one in the gorilla suit and the one where they go after the mad scientist. That could be it too. She could have been in the suit of armor.
Yep.
But, all right, well, we had a call, but we gabbed so much that we lost it. If you want to call in, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. But let me ask you, Moniz, getting back to the Russell Crowe thing, as somebody who has been looking into UFOs for almost 30 years now, what are your thoughts on them using that as a publicity stunt, using the field that you take so seriously as a tool of shameless self-promotion?
It's no different than an actor taking, anything that they do and promoting themselves. You're right. Does it help the field? When it's stunts like this and it's actually a hoax, no. And we've had this done a number of times with other things. But getting back to the people that aren't really hoaxing it, but saying that they've had a legitimate experience, I'll go back to Fran Drescher again, admitting to being an abductee. Do you know how hard that is just for a regular person to say something about that in their life, and then to talk about...
Do you know how hard it is to hear Fran Drescher say anything? Sorry, I couldn't resist. And then the question with Russell Crowe is, what's more legitimate? his UFO sighting or his musical career as the lead singer of 30 Odd Foot of Grunts. How did I know the name of his band?
Don't know.
That's just weird. I seem to have a strange affinity for remembering musical acts of people who are not musically inclined. Yeah, like Keanu Reeves' band was Dogstar.
I was just thinking of that.
I don't remember Mila Jovovich's band. I don't remember Juliette Lewis's band. I think they might just be the Juliette Lewis band. I think that's their name. And what's her name? That band's called She and Him, right? New Girl?
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. This is where the conversation goes when we don't have a guest. So now, call in and stump Tim on the celebrity band. 508-996-0500, 1-877-996.
What about Kevin Bacon's band?
It's easy.
That's a good one. They were actually very talented, the Bacon Brothers.
Yeah.
And anybody that's ever listened to that album is now 1 degree separated from Kevin Bacon. Do you know that we are all, our Bacon number is 3. No. Is it 3? I think our Bacon number is 2. 3. No, it's 3. Definitely 3. Because we had on this show, Styles White and Juliet Snowden, the husband and wife writers of the movie The Possession, which was a really good movie, actually, by the way. But we had them on the show, and they made that film with Kira Sedgwick, who is married to who?
Kevin Bacon.
Right. So, you might be a little bit further away. You're forced because you weren't here that night. But any Bacon number inside of 6 is a pretty good one.
Yep.
So there's that.
Okay. All right. What about Bill Mooney?
Well, that's unquestionable. I think his musical career is more, just more amazing than his acting career. I think he's a much better musician than he's an actor. Fish Heads is just it's an anthem, if ever there was one. So, and actually, as an actor, he kind of seemed like a one-trick pony. He could only really play that little kid role.
Well, he was also Lanier in Babylon 5.
Never watched it.
Uh-huh.
But, just little kid. That's what he played. I don't see him playing little kids anymore.
That would be kind of weird. Right now.
Unless you want to remake Clifford.
Yeah.
Or Jack. This conversation's devolved.
It did.
It really has.
Quickly.
That de-escalated quickly.
Yeah, so 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. I'm pretty sure I just messed up the numbers. Because I'm trying to go into the Twitter account here so I can see how many guesses we got on that picture I posted earlier this evening. So if you haven't checked it out, just go to our Twitter account @SpookySC, and you'll see the photo that I put up. And we still just have the one response, and it was Jennifer DaCosta, and she's right. It is from Lizzie's house. And if you excuse me, if you go and check out the picture and take a look at it, you'll see that it is a picture taken of the basin in the basement. And over the basin is a wall, and then when you take a flash picture of it and you look in the wall, there's a face that develops when you're looking at it. And I always tell people, if you want to have a paranormal souvenir when you go there, go and take this photo and then convince everybody that you know that it's real. But in actuality, it's just the dirt in the wall. And we've told Leanne many times, please never wash this or paint it, because it's the one photo that everybody can take away from. And besides sitting on the couch with a hatchet, but have as a souvenir of the place. So if you've never seen it, check it out on Twitter. It's really cool. I mean, and the more that I look at it, the more that I see detail in it. And of course, it's just pareidolia, but when you look at it, and Moniz, if you can see it there, you can kind of see like
the face,
and the wavy hair at the top,
yeah.
like it could be Lizzie, but then at the same time you see what could be a little beard at the bottom, like John Morris or Andrew Borden.
Yeah.
So it definitely is an interesting little piece to take home with you if you ever go there. So that was actually taken the other day when we were there filming something, and I said to the producers, I was like, you guys got to take this picture before you go home. And I took the picture and I showed it to them, and they're like, meh. They weren't really too impressed. So, what can you do? You can't go down there on the tour. So
true.
that's a pretty cool piece to take home, I would think. All right. What else do you want to talk about in the paranormal?
You're the one driving the bus. You pick the topic. We'll chime in.
Yeah, but I've driven this bus right to the edge of the road. So I need you guys to help me decide whether to turn around or push it forward.
Let's push it forward.
Yeah, let's go.
Right off the cliff.
All right, let's talk cryptos. That's something we haven't had on.
Well, I did see, by the way, today that the picture of the Montauk Monster is making its way around the internet again, as now is a news story of it being something that was discovered in the UK. But it's the same exact picture. It's not even like I could say it's the same creature. It's the same photo.
Wasn't there a different... I saw a different photo recently of something
there are
similar.
several more. It
looked more like a coyote or something that was like had all the hair boiled off or something.
Mm-hmm. No, what happens when an animal's stuck in the water? The water causes the follicles to become enlarged, and then the hair comes out. So it's not unnatural. So
weren't you doing an experiment at your house with a raccoon?
Yeah.
How'd that
could
go?
basically reproduce the same.
Did you document it? Photos? I'd like to see a
I
slideshow.
did, but there's a slight problem. They were on my old hard drive on the computer that died.
Oh.
And now has gone missing, which really...
Coincidentally?
No. Unfortunately, because that means I got to buy a new one.
Say the CIA took it.
Yeah, sure.
The more interesting question that I have is what happened to the raccoon when you were done? Was it fricasseed or
charred?
No, it was buried.
Smoked in the smoker?
No, buried.
But you have eaten raccoon.
Actually, I have, and squirrel, and rabbit, and snake, and alligator, and rhino, and elephant.
Moniz would kick butt in the Hunger Games. what was your favorite out of all the strange things you've eaten?
The one that impressed me the most actually was the buffalo, because it really does taste like a really good beef.
I do like buffalo.
Yeah, that one was good. The elephant was rather tough. The other one that I thought was pretty good was lion, surprisingly. And
I'm pretty sure neither which of the last two are legal.
Oh yeah, they're completely legal.
Is it?
Yes. A friend of mine owns a restaurant, and he orders regular stuff. You may even know the place before he sold it. And they used to offer ostrich. The ostrich burgers and stuff.
You can get ostrich everywhere these days.
Right. Well, he had a source for these exotic meats, and what happens is a zoo will have an animal pass for whatever reason, and they'll offer the meats to these specialty places where you can buy it, and the funds go back to the zoo to help pay for the animals, rather than it being wasted.
I would definitely want documentation of how the animal died before I ate it, but I'm pretty sure he died of dysentery. There are some places out there, and not really that many locally, although we say, we don't have exotic cuisine here, but then somebody coming here from elsewhere is like, Portuguese food, what's that? And then they go in there on a Friday and they have goat head, and they're like, what is this? But, I've always tried to eat a few strange things whenever I get the opportunity. I've had the ostrich, the buffalo, snake, alligator, which most of them I got from the same restaurant.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. And at that place in Route 6, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm always willing to try other things. I've had snail, I've had chicken hearts, I've eaten like some weird stuff. I've never tried head cheese. Have you tried head cheese?
No.
No.
No, isn't that like made from brains or something?
I don't know. You want me to Google it?
I'm sitting in front of the computer. I could just as well. Paranormal Nate in the chat room says buffalo wings. So, except they're not really from buffaloes, Nate. I know that Jeff is a frequent eater of Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah, I bet him.
Whenever he goes out to the Stanley Hotel, I would try them. I would definitely try them. I'll try anything once, except cottage cheese. Which, by the way, was funny because a couple of weeks ago, I got a message, I think on Facebook, where somebody had said that they were laughing when we said that we were the cottage cheese of paranormal radio shows, which I completely forgot saying that until that happened. Why are you on the old Spooky TV page?
I don't know.
Stop giving us web hits on pages we're not trying to promote. You know.
I'll put the dash in.
All right, again, if you want to call in, please, 508-996-0500, 1-877-996-1420. Those are the numbers to reach us at. If you want to call in and share anything, you can also email us, spookysouthcoast.com. Hit us up on Twitter at SpookySC, and you'll also find our personal accounts on there as well. Matt Costa is at Smoking Monkeys, MONKEEZ. I'm at Tim Weisberg. And although Matt Moniz won't admit it, he'll eventually be at Science_Advisor, at least in some fashion. But one of the questions that I have for you, Moniz, and I've been meaning to ask you this for a while. There's a new show coming out, which our friends have taken part in, about alien abductions.
Yes.
And I haven't had a chance to ask you this since I found out that the show was coming out, but it premieres, I believe, next Saturday, right? No, 2 weeks. April 6th, while we're in North Adams. What's your thoughts on this as somebody who collects reports of people's experiences and works with people who have been abducted? What do you think will happen when it becomes more in the public spotlight? I know there's been TV shows and there's been, episodes of sightings and episodes of unsolved mysteries that have dealt with it in the past, but when it's going to be there on a weekly basis, and it's going to be in there in millions of homes every week, do you have any concerns about this? Do you think that this is going to open the door for people to share their experiences more, or do you think it's going to turn it into like a circus-type atmosphere, even worse than it might already be?
I think it's going to be all of the above, actually. Anytime you got something like this that's not been done before, you're going to have pitfalls that come out. We know that a lot of wackos are going to come out of the woods and want to be on television and have their own imaginational story that they want to share. There's going to be a lot of people that have had legitimate experiences that will at least be thankful that there's other people out there that are willing to talk about it. And as long as the subject matter is treated respectfully by the production company and in a serious manner, I think it will do some good. If in the very least, it gives the public a bit of an education more than what they see on, these daytime talk shows and stuff like that, which is where most of these abductees have had their pain basically brought out on stage to be ridiculed by the audience, cannon fodder.
Now, what's the name of the show?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
No, it's they've been promoting it on TV and stuff. So the name of the show is out there. I just can't remember what it is.
I'm having a hard time too because they've changed the name several times. So I'm trying to remember which one is the right one.
Well, let me ask the folks in the chat room. Yeah. Somebody might know there. If you remember the name of the show,
it's on the History Channel, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm on Facebook too, so I can check out Audrey's page.
Yeah.
Alien Encounters. It's going to be on the Bio channel starting April 6th. So let me see if I can find anything on it here that we can play over the air. No. Nothing that I see.
Yeah. They're going to be basically tagging around with them for a while, several episodes and stuff, and following what they do.
So, my concern with this is that it's going to be something that takes... You got him on hold?
Yep.
That's going to be something that takes people down another path in terms of the viewer watching at home. And I worry as we explore, I don't want to say bizarre angles, because I know that this is a legitimate thing that happens to people, a legitimate phenomena. But as we go kind of down these different roads, I'm wondering how much the general public is going to continue to keep being willing to accept.
Once you go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's take this call. Good evening. You're on Spooky Southcoast. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we are doing well. As you can tell, we are we're drowning in
rambling on.
Yeah. Well, I only have a couple of seconds here, but you guys were talking about paranormal TV shows earlier.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites that I remember from my childhood, and this was back in the 90s, this is Taylor Cormier, by the way, if anybody hasn't figured that out. Beyond Belief Factor Fiction with, who was it?
Jonathan Frakes, right?
Jonathan Frakes, yeah, that was one of my favorite paranormal TV shows. It wasn't really investigatory, but it was just a good entertainment to watch. And you were also mentioning celebrities. I only got a couple seconds here that believe in paranormal things, and I'm surprised, maybe I missed it, but you didn't mention it. Jackie Gleason was one of the biggest.
UFO guys, yes.
Yeah, and he had a run-in with Nixon on a golf course, and he supposedly showed him aliens down at, in Florida, so that was
home state Florida, correct.
Yeah, we had an episode of the show where we talked with Grant Cameron, who deals with presidential UFO sightings and cases, and when we talked about that, like just hearing the stories about Jackie Gleason from him, you know, he was seemed to be a regular contactee.
Do you guys have a podcast of that show?
Oh, I'm sure. It's we have all of our archives up on iTunes and on our website, so if you check it out, it'll definitely be there.
I'll have to hunt for it.
All right. Well, thanks for checking in.
Have a great night.
You too.
Great show.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
That is Taylor Cormier. Of course, you can hear him every Saturday morning here on WBSM. He's on from 6 to 10, so I'm not up that early on a Saturday. I only get to hear the second half of the show. But we definitely appreciate all he does, too, to help us out here with keeping this program rolling, because he's one of the few social media WBSM guys we can get a hold of when we have questions. Like, we'll be sitting here, like, we can't log into the computer. Quick, you know, ask Taylor on Facebook. And he always helps us out. So, but there have been a number of these, I don't want to say celebrity UFO sightings, but, you know, people of prominence, of importance, world leaders, people who are involved in the defense field, who have been open and have talked about it. I mean, we've had Jimmy Carter talk about his experiences. So maybe the fact that that foundation has been laid, maybe that makes it a little bit more easier for the general public to accept some of these abduction stories that they're going to hear. But I just know that I've heard the Starborn twins share their stories here on the show and elsewhere and even privately. And it's knowing them, I believe what they've encountered. But I wonder how much of it is just going to be too fantastical for the average American viewer to fathom, because it is uncharted territory. It is something that we don't have any basis of comparison for.
In terms of abduction cases, theirs is not all that much different from many of the others that have been reported throughout the time. What makes theirs a little bit different is, you know, they're siblings, okay, and twins. It's just a novel fact that, you know, people are going to have to get used to. It's like, okay, in a lot of abduction cases, a lot of family members are taken, sometimes individually, sometimes as a group. Give you a good example, Betty Andreessen, who has had abduction experiences happening all her life. She's been taken right in front of her family and some of her family members with her. And it's her husband, Bob Luca. It's one of the ways that they met. You know, as you know, I specialize in couples cases and stuff like that. So what's going to be interesting is the fact that it's going to be unsettling for some people to accept the fact that, you know, okay, there's something more to this, because we've got two people talking about these experiences. One person talks about it, it's just in their imagination. When you got two people talking about the same event, it takes it out of the realm of the psychobabble stuff and puts it in a whole new realm.
And we go down this path quite often when we start talking about these things, but I'm not going to be afraid to do it one more time.
Go ahead.
Is it visitors from another planet?
Here we go.
Is that what it is? Is it creatures from some other location who are coming here and observing humans, studying humans, conducting experiments on humans, whatever it is they're doing?
I would have to say in a good deal of cases, yes. And I am not going to say that it's definitely not beings from another dimension as well as another time. That to me is, and when I mean by another time, from our past as well as from our future. There's been enough evidence to show that there's truth to each of those. Okay, and trying to determine whether they're all happening together or working together may be another story, but there's definitely materials as well as the stories overlapping that show that, you know, it is definitely coming from that area.
See, because in my somewhat informed opinion, I can't say conclusively that I think that they're beings from another planet. I think it's more likely that
Let me ask you why.
It just seems to be the way that I feel about it. You know, I think that it's more possible that it's some sort of time traveling species, some sort of dimension traveling species, than I think that it is they come from the physical version of Planet X and they're traveling here in their ships.
Okay, then why do they crash and leave debris?
But that's where the fly is in my ointment, is because you come back to me with this physical evidence, and you say, you know, where did this come from if that's not the case? So, but I also look at that and say, how come with our sophisticated, you know, telescopes and everything that we have now, why don't we see them in this process? I mean, when
you're not going to see them from that. You know, you're looking at something that's trying to see something the size of a star, which is humongous, and that's hard to do optically from where we are, even with telescopes in space. So you wouldn't necessarily see them. You would stand a better chance detecting them in terms of, you know, radio, but, you know, then again, their communications, I believe, is far beyond what we use in terms of radio. That's equivalent of trying to find, you know, intelligence on this planet by looking for people still sending smoke signals. Okay, so.
Well, and then how then do these abductions take place? And as you've noted over the years here, that often they will happen in broad daylight.
Yes.
And
60 to 70% of all abductions happen during the day.
Then why is it that there aren't more witnesses to them?
Well, a lot of times there are, and that's what's the funny part. Okay, we'll go to one of the more famous cases that I helped Bud with for a number of years on the Brooklyn Bridge abduction, the Linda Corteil case. That was witnessed by dozens of people on the Brooklyn Bridge, as well as the head of the UN at that time, who happened to be on the street right below, Perez de Cuellar, the head of the UN, personally witnessed this. And so it messed with his head.
Why aren't they happening now in an age when we would be able to capture them on cell phones and immediately make that information available, immediately tweet out those pictures? And maybe is that the reason why?
Well, we do have a lot of people that put stuff up, but then again, you don't know it's provenance, so you... the first thing people jump to, is photoshopped. So,
I think that maybe if they are creatures of a higher intelligence, they're smart enough to figure out, like, let's not go do that now. There's a lot of people with cell phones.
Yeah,
I don't really want to get caught. Almost like Lindsay Lohan should be thinking, but doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phones. Good evening. You're on Spooky Southcoast. How are you?
Hey Tim, how are you, buddy?
Doing well.
That's Lindsay Lohan. How do you bring her up?
Well, whenever I'm thinking about aliens, I think of Lindsay Lohan. So.
Yeah, I guess. Well, she don't hear anything anybody's saying, including the judges.
That's true.
But you caught my attention earlier, talking about Lincoln Park and, of course, Fort Tabor. I'm still trying to get you into Z, by the way.
Oh, we appreciate it.
I got the ball rolling on that for you, and hopefully in a couple weeks you'll be hearing from me about that.
That'd be great.
But you said you want to do another investigation at Fort Tabor. I'm like, man, I'm all in.
Yeah, we the way we did it last time is, we did it on cold Friday night in October. So a lot of people, they said this would be great if it wasn't so cold out here.
Right.
So now we're hoping to do it in some warmer weather, and now that the stories are getting out there, that'll increase the interest level for the paranormal activity that happens there.
That's cool. Well, actually, one of the gentlemen in military museum. Actually, I guess you brought some of the evidence in and showed it to him, one of the guys.
Oh, yeah.
He said it was pretty creepy. I'm the guy telling me that. He says, wow, this is pretty creepy. He says, these guys are good. He says, well, that's what they do. I goes, I know. He says, yeah, well, it was very interesting. I says, I'll tell you what. He says, they're more than welcome to come back again. So,
well, that's great to hear. For us as running legend trips, for us, it's not so much about what kind of evidence we can present to the location, as much as they say, wow, this is a well-run event, and the people that came were very respectful. And our attendees for all our events are just super people, and they show the reverence and the respect that they should for these locations. And a lot of times they go back after our events, and they want to go check it out a little bit more for themselves. And we've had people join the Wareham Historical Society who live 45 minutes away, but have just joined because they had such a cool, positive experience at the Fearing Tavern, for example.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool. Geez, what else did you say? Matter of fact, at first she says, well, I tried logging on to SpookySouthcoast.com. I mean, I've been on my laptop all weekend, and when it crashed, as I logged on to it, I goes, oh, man, you put a ghost in it. I don't know what happened.
See, and I never even mentioned Amityville. Normally when I mention Amityville, that's when we have all kinds of technical problems here.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was doing a Skype meeting with some people, and as soon as I started talking about Amityville, my computer crashed.
So when you have the devil and the CIA trying to,
Speaking of
IRS.
I should warn everybody that we're going to be talking about Amityville in the middle of April. It looks like April, what's the week after this? April 13th. Looks like we're going to be having on the producer of Daniel Lutz's movie, My Amityville Horror. I'm sorry, the director of the film. Because Daniel's not doing any media. I tried to get him to come on. So we'll be talking about Amityville that night, so I promise all kinds of problems.
You said your buddy called earlier and told you it was on Bio, your investigation you did at Lizzie Borden's?
Yes, we were on the My Ghost Story episode, myself and Jeff Belanger.
Well, by the time I found the Bio channel, I guess it was over. I guess it was a short episode.
Yeah, it's a half-an-hour show, and we're in the first 10 minutes of the program.
Okay.
So
well, like it
should be on again.
Yeah, it probably repeats itself.
And they're usually pretty good about putting that kind of stuff like on-demand stuff.
Wow.
I'll look it up before the show's over, and I'll let you know.
Okay, well, I'll be listening, buddy.
All right, thank you so much.
But like I said, I'm still working on the Z there, because I'd love to see that.
Oh, yeah, let us know. And they're actually looking for places where they can screen My Amityville Horror locally, so maybe we could set something up, like kind of do a combination thing.
Yeah, as long as nothing crashes.
I can't promise that, I'm sorry. All right.
All right, buddy, have a good night.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, that would be amazing if we got in there, even if we just get in there kind of privately for an investigation. Because, like I said, we were stonewalled when we tried to get in there before. So.
Yeah, that was when we were checking out Weird Al Yankovic.
Right. Yeah, we had a great time there, and it was definitely one of the coolest places I've ever seen a concert. That's for sure.
Definitely one of the coolest concerts I've seen. I mean, that man did not stop, and his wardrobe changes immediately on stage. I mean,
right. And he basically recreated the videos on stage.
Yep. Great job.
I'm trying to look up here if they're rerunning My Ghost Story. Let's see. View full schedule. Looks like it is not on again tonight.
And one of the things I was wondering about is what you guys would think about doing some Bigfoot investigations out in, say, Rhode Island.
Oh, we've talked about it. You mean privately or as a Legend Trips event?
Let's go with both. Privately, obviously, first.
Well, privately, I would love to do it. I just don't know if I have the patience to sit quietly in the woods. I would probably, I'm the guy that when you go fishing, everybody's like, shut up, you're scaring the fish. So I'd be the guy that'd be like, shut up, you're scaring the Bigfoot. But I would definitely like to get out there and experience it. And as a Legend Trips event...
that'd be a little bit more difficult.
I'd worry about the logistics. Like, one of the things that I'm getting requests from people everywhere is if we can put something together in the Freetown State Forest. And I just look at it and I think of all the possibilities of danger that could happen.
Oh, yeah. be our luck, take people up to the ledge, somebody leaning over to take a picture, and
yeah. Which I guess as long as we can, have them swim to shore, that's okay. But too many people have not swum to shore. So yeah, I do feel a little bit nervous about doing things like that. We're still mastering the format, so we want to make sure that we have control of everything before we do it. But each time we do one, we learn a little bit more. So people can come out and check out Houghton Mansion April 6th for $125. Just go to legendtrips.com and you can come. I promise you will have control there. I want to get into that Psychomantium. I can't wait for that. So Josh said last week that we can try it, so I'm definitely going to give it a go.
It is a freaky experience, I'll say that.
And after watching the things that go bump in the night doc during the course of this week, I wish, by the way, I'd recorded in October. I had it on my DVR ever since. But I want to go out and I want to look for the old coot. We heard that story last week, and it seems like there's a lot of stories that happen about that. And I don't know if you're going up with us, Matt Costa, but if you do,
yep.
You're the guy that I want to go with me out in the woods.
Yeah, find the old coot.
Yes, because if anybody has experiences with old coots, it's you and I.
That's true. It's true.
We've dealt with more than our share over the years.
We'll have to bring him a newspaper.
Right, and a muffin.
Yeah, a Moxie. I don't know.
Yes. Ooh, you got a sarsaparilla? Yeah. If we know anything about old men, they have to have a Boston Herald and a muffin first thing in the morning.
Now, do you smell like Bengay before you see this guy? Or?
No, I think that comes afterwards.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think the other...
Old Spice, maybe.
Yeah, the Old Spice, I was going to say. The other scent that's predominant would be Old Spice. Well, Old Spice, they are trying to market it toward young people. I don't think it's working so well. I think probably the fact that it's old in the title is probably hurting its chances.
I don't know. I like Terry Crews, but I don't really like Old Spice. So...
That's not Terry Crews in the commercial, is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's a different guy.
Do they have a different guy now?
Right, I think so,
They
yeah.
used to.
So you've got the three things that old guys like: Old Spice, Bay Rum, and Old Bay. So those three things together. It's like what we're insulting like 90% of the listening audience right now.
That's well past their bedtime.
But that's true, it is. It's past our bedtime, too, and thankfully the show is coming to a close. Again, like I said, this is what happens when we don't have a guest. Normally our show is a much tighter production, and the conversation is much more interesting. So we'll be back next week with our guest, Karen Dullman. She'll be here talking with us about the positive side of Ouija. And then we've got some interesting guests coming up in the next few weeks. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the film My Amityville Horror, getting more into the Amityville story. We're also going to be talking, and we've heard from Chris Lutz, so now we're going to hear from Daniel Lutz's perspective. And then also coming up later on in April, we're going to be talking with Lisa Campion, who's a psychic, and she's also very much into the work of empaths and promoting empathy throughout the world. So we're going to talk to her about that because, we need to be a little more empathetic here on Spooky Southcoast. We're kind of a bunch of jerks.
I can feel you.
So we'll talk about all that coming up in the next few months. Again, we won't be on April 6th because of the Legend Trips event, but that's all right. If you are going to miss hearing our voices that much, you can just buy a ticket and come on out to the event because we'll be doing plenty of talking there, I'm sure. And again, legendtrips.com is the site to go, and you can find out more about the event, Haunting the Houghton, April 5th through the 7th, just the 6th if you want to just come for the event itself. But why not come Friday night, too, and take part in that paranormal party at the Haunted Freight Yard Pub? I'm really excited about that because, I want to see what happens after we have like 4 or 5 drinks on us, and then somebody whips out the EMF detector. Somebody else whips out the millimeter, and it's like, all right, let's go see what we can find. We're definitely not in the state to acquire any data at all. So just keep in mind that anything we get, if we do that, is all null and void.
Well, except for the personal experience part of it.
I'm not even going to take those into account. I feel like somebody's touching me, and I like it. All right, so that does it for this week's show. If you want to listen to this or any other show, I don't know why you'd want to listen to this one again. If you want to listen to any of our shows over the past 7 years, they are all up on SpookySouthcoast.com. Did you get my email, by the way, about the problem where every file is playing all at the same time?
I don't. What's an email?
All right. We'll talk about this off the air.
All right.
Send smoke signals.
But we are working on fixing that. And also, of course, you can get every episode from iTunes. And don't forget, YouTube is the place to go to catch all the Spooky TV videos. And you can see the other show on Spooky TV right now, which is Spirit Connections Tuesday night at 7, and they're also up on YouTube as well. So check it all out. And until next week, from Matt Moniz, from Matt Costa, for Chris Balzano, I am Tim Weisberg, and we want you all to stay spooktacular.
Rest assured, listener, that my time here has not been easy, and what you have just heard was not